Bless the Lord, early birds. It's the 12th of April, and we're in the midst of the season leading to Pentecost, but Easter is, so to speak, the season or the celebration of Easter is behind us, but we're in still, hopefully, in your mind and spirit, the press of the Lenten season and what Easter means in terms of the resurrection of Jesus. We are witnesses of both the press of the season of Lent and the promise and the blessing of Easter as we are in remembrance that the Lord has called us out of the wilderness and yet promises and gives us his promises. I want to kind of give a capsulized synopsis, if you will, of our passages today out of Luke 11 and out of Joshua 19 through 21. I hope that you'll read these passages in your spare time. Suffice it to say, Jesus goes in on the religious leaders related to their hypocrisy, superficial focus on exterior and outward appearance, while lacking a real understanding of the fact that what is under the surface and what is behind the scenes tells the real truth. That we ought to tithe, but we ought to also make sure that we are just and fair in our deliberations and treatment of people, of human beings, and not put money before people. That we are caring, especially as it relates to our parents and family members, especially in their time of need. We're called, family, to step forward and to trust in the Lord, even as we move into new territories, such as described in Joshua 19 through 21. And while I'm not a fan of the violence that I see in the book of Joshua, I am an understanding that as God brings us into promises and blessings and new places where God wants us to be, that we ought to discern our way through, cast lots of the Urim and the Thummim as first identified in Exodus 28 and 30. We ought to ensure that we are responding to and respecting how God has allocated seasons and opportunities for us to be blessed and to constantly grow in our faithfulness and fellowship with the Lord. God brings us in the places to test us, to try us, to see if we get it, if we've learned. And for all intents and purposes, we ought to make sure that we exhibit a sense of having learned and understood that no matter where God leads us to, God leads us through. I want to conclude there. Of course, chapter 20 talks about the cities of refuge, places you go, especially when there's a mistaken murder. And in 21, in reference to the way in which God provided for Joshua, who gave a good report. And God remembers those of us who have made a covenant in the wilderness as we step into the promised land. The seeds sown in the past bring forth harvest in the present and future, remembering that in every harvest are seeds for the next planting and the next harvest. That's why you can always tell the number of seeds in a fruit, but you can never tell the number of fruit in each seed. I love you, and I pray God's blessings upon you, early birds, as you continue to seek the word, continue to grow in grace as disciples of Jesus, following after the grace and kindness of the Lord, who is our provider, but also presses us toward perfection. I bless you, and thank you so much for listening. And I pray that God's encouragement will keep you, early birds. Be blessed. Peace.